Hello guys, welcome back to another video. We actually lost the audio for this video as I was commentating it, so this is going to be kind of a voiceover, and it's going to be talking mainly about how to upgrade a BitAxe from the basic form. As you can see there, we kind of already have the copper on there, so we re-put on the original heatsink just for demonstration purposes in this video. And the copper is still on there, which we can't actually get off, so we're just going to leave it on there. But for the purposes of this video, just pretend that the copper is not there. You can add your own copper. I think I have a video on it, but the first step is taking the heatsink off. So you can see there with the pliers, you basically want to squeeze in and then push down just a little bit so that it pops through the board, and you'll mainly hear it click for both of them, if you can just see there. And for the second one, you squeeze in and push as well. So I think we had a little problem with that one, but I think it went through perfectly fine right there. And then the next step is to just push it out with your hands. So you can just place it downwards and then push with both thumbs at the same time. I don't really think it matters if you push one at a time, but that's just better on the board if you do it both at the same time. Unplug the fan, because that's obviously going to get in the way if you are trying to put another heatsink on or a different fan on. So you want to unplug the fan. You can just see the heatsink there. Pretty standard. Mainly I've seen actually suppliers come with a bit bigger or better heatsinks, which is good because you don't have to do any of these steps. But if you have older ones, they'll mainly come with that golden heatsink and the black fan. So you can see here we're just zooming it in, and I believe the next step is going to be taking off the thermal paste. As you can see there, not really, I would say actually a lot of thermal paste, but mainly we're just going to take it off with a kitchen roll for the main part of the thermal paste, and then hit it with a cotton swab to try and clean it up after the fact. So you can see there, we're just hitting it with that just because it's a little more precise on getting the thermal paste off. There is a whole lot of thermal paste around the chip because we've repasted it so many times and we've never bothered to clean it. You can also see that there's a lot of dust on the board, so I think we go in and take that off as well. From here, we are kind of just cleaning it up for the next 2 or 3 minutes. We have so much thermal paste on there that we try to get it off, but I still haven't successfully got it off. But I know that I need to use isopropyl alcohol to really get in there. Just haven't been bothered at this point in time because we're repasting it so many times, doing so many different heatsink testings, that there's not really much point unless we find one that we're sticking with, and then we'll do it properly for that reason. As you can see there, just cleaning up some of the dirt that is on there and some thermal paste that's on the board kind of away from the chip. And it is going to add to the heat, obviously, a little bit, but I'm kind of fine with it because we are replacing it so many times for the videos. It doesn't really matter at this point. So after cleaning the dust off, I think we go in and we're trying to basically push the edge of the thermal paste across so we can actually clean it off. You can kind of see that there, and smudging a little bit onto the actual chip, but I don't think it matters in the long run. So just trying to get it to the sides or the corners so we can actually take it off from the corner instead of trying to scrape it along the side and try to get it off that way. As I said, we do need to use isopropyl alcohol if you want to clean it properly. So get a bottle of that and a microfiber cloth. But for this purposes, these will actually work fine if you're doing it yourself as well. I don't think that it really matters too much. I know a lot of people are very careful with the chips, but they can stand a lot of wear and tear over time. As you can see there, we just smudged it actually more, so we needed to take that off as well. So we're just doing that there, and then taking a little bit off the side there, So eventually we will come around and actually take that off fully, but that's only when we have a proper cooling solution or proper heatsink that we want to stick with for a while. We've been changing them quite a lot recently. And then we just go in and kind of take off mainly a little bit more with the kitchen roll. So you can see there. And kind of try get into the sides as well, just to take off a little bit more of the thermal paste. I would say that that's good enough. And we can kind of move on from this over to actually applying the thermal paste, I believe. So we're just trying to get a little bit more off there. So one thing is the top and the bottom side of the chip is flush, but the sides of the chip are connected or soldered on. You can just see there the chip number BM1370BC. And this is from an S21 Pro. I believe that the other ones are from S19s, S17s, depending on the model, but this is actually a fairly recent chip. I don't think that there's anything out there that's more recent than this. There are obviously other Bitmain versions like the XP, but I don't think that they've made one for that or they have plans for that in the future. Now the next step is to, I would say, put the fan onto the heatsink. You don't want to be doing that whilst you've actually attached the heatsink because it'll put pressure on the board. So right here you can just see the difference between the newer heatsink and the fans. So a little bit bigger and a little bit higher. And that's just going to take away a little bit more heat. So the main thing to do is just screw it in. You have the fans there. The screws are from the previous one, so the previous fan, and you can just take them and use them on the Nocta fan as well. If you do want to get a Nocta fan, there'll be a link in the description where you can actually get it. And all you have to do is the same process as the black fans. Just make sure that this first screw goes into that hole and then screw that in. Luckily, this heatsink kind of has ridges that the screw can hold on to, I guess. So you want to get that in place, and then you want to go for the opposite diagonal one because that will hold it in place. The other two screws don't really matter too much, I don't believe, but we're putting them on anyway, just in case. You can see that the Nocta fan is pretty white, so it's washing out most of the light on the camera, so sorry for that. But as you're screwing down, you'll kind of hear it or feel it kind of tighten in, and you basically want it as tight as, you know, as you can go, but not to the point where you're screwing through the actual fan at any point. So that's just the last screw there. We're going to screw that one in, and then I think we're going to put that to the side. I don't really know because this is the first time voiceover in this video, but yeah, I think we're going to put it to the side, and then we're going to move on to putting the thermal paste onto the chip right there. So move that over. I believe we zoom it in so you can see how much thermal paste we're putting on there. Now, one thing about thermal paste and working with it is it does get very messy and you can't really get it out of your clothes very easily, so be very, very careful with the thermal paste. If we look here, I think that we actually use the kitchen roll from earlier to just put a little dab of thermal paste onto the kitchen roll. That's just to make sure that there's no hardened thermal paste on there, and you know, it works more effectively when you actually put the heatsink on. So you can see there, just taking a little bit out just in case. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I normally tend to do it. And then we can move on to putting it onto the chip. So it's debatable how much you actually need to put on the chip. I've done this so many times that I don't even know how or how much to actually put on there. We kind of just squirt it out a little bit and then dab it onto the chip like that, and that's all we really do. There have been times where we put way too much on there and then I've tried to clean it up and it's gone everywhere, so be careful about that. I think we hold it up to the camera now and you can kind of see how much is on there. It's really not that much. People say you want the size of a rice grain. and I think what we've done here is kind of the size of a rice grain. So you can see there, just zooming it in more for you, and then we put it to the side to show kind of how much is on there. So minimal amount, and the thermal paste really is only there just to connect kind of the thermal or the chip to the heatsink. I mean, I don't actually know what it would do if you didn't have the thermal paste on there. Somebody can let me know in the comments, but I know that it's kind of necessary to make that connection. The less thermal paste that you use, kind of the more heat conduction would go into the heatsink. That's what I'm willing to bet. So you're going to have less efficiency on the heating or the cooling if you have more thermal paste, but you need just a little bit as well. So the main way that we're going to do this is I like to put the heatsink flat with the fan on the bottom. As you can see, we just got the screws there, but we're putting it flat, and then we're going to place the BitAxe over the top of it. This is probably the best way to do it, I guess, just because you can kind of see through the holes, and then you can make a judgment of if you're putting the screws in the right place. So let's just bring it into frame here, zoom it in so you can kind of see what we're talking about. And mainly what we're doing here is we're just lining up the screws or the screw holes and then placing the BitAxe on top. It is going to slide around with the thermal paste just a little bit, but you just want to drop the screws in there and then tighten them with your fingers just to keep it in place at the start. And then I think we move on to actually screwing it in with a screwdriver after that. It is debatable on how much pressure you need on the chip. I personally don't know. I kind of leave enough of a gap where I can see the chip, because some people have it real flush down to the chip, and I think that's going to break it over time or crack it over time. But you can just see here we're being very careful, making sure that it's all in place, making sure it's not sliding around too much, and just dropping the screws in by hand and then tightening by hand until you can lift it up without anything falling off. And then you kind of make your own judgment on how much depth there should be in terms of between the chip and between the heatsink. So we're just slightly adding that in, and then if we pick it up, hopefully it shouldn't move, as we're seeing there. You can see that that's very off-centered already. You can see the chip underneath, but we also need to tighten the screws a little bit. And you can kind of see that by, if you're holding it up, it might be, slightly up to one side. So you want to tighten that side, and then you want to tighten the rest of them to make sure that they're all equal. Otherwise, you're going to have uneven cooling on the chip. And then if we just go here, I think we take quite a while actually tightening this up, because we're trying to see underneath what the kind of leverage is, or what the space is between. As you can see on the right side, I guess that is, there's a little bit too much space. I think we go in and correct that, or maybe we zoom it out. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so maybe we're correcting it right now. I can't remember because we lost the audio and we did this video 3 days ago, so I'm just trying to remember what we did. So I think we're loosening it up this side to make sure that the other side is actually pulling onto the chip and making it even across the whole board. So just a little bit, you need to make some tiny adjustments to get that in the right place. I think when we pull it up now, I think I'm just doing some tiny adjustments, as you can see in the corner there, and then a little bit there on the last one, mainly going until like the screwdriver basically pulls out. Then you have the fan. Remember, this is 3-pin. This is just for purposes of the video. Don't get the 3-pin, always get the 4-pin. I have it linked in the description. It doesn't have the PMW control, so you want the 4-pin where it actually allows the fan to control how much heat is coming out of the ASIC. As you can see there, just showing that that pin is exposed, so don't do that. You want something that is 4-pin so it can control the fan as well. And then we just got to add the LCD onto the top of it. Obviously haven't taken the plastic off, as you can see there. And that actually should be it. So all of that probably took around 15 minutes. It might take you a little bit longer just because, you know, that's your first time trying it, but that's mainly how you upgrade a BitAxe with the standard heatsink, taking that off, add in your own fan and heatsink. As I said, there's a video with the copper parts as well, kind of optimum placement, and I've done some testing on it. The ESP, you don't need to cover that. That one's good. The one just below the, or just above the BitAxe logo, that one's good as well. Make sure that you don't put the 3-pin like we have there. And I think that's the end of the video. So make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this.